So we all acknowledge that Joe is the best, right? Ultra instinct mode in the battle, dodged all the punches with his guard low. Like, come on now, we know he's the best. Let's start the review. So we see from a straight up fight that Joe honestly could not win. The AI, even though it detects electrical signals of gear to defeat them, is very adaptive. However Joe fights, it'll pick that up and it'll adjust and still give the optimal route for fighting. I like that because remember how Joe was initially in the last episode was saying, hey, Mikio's not afraid of us. We're not the ultimate counter. He just basically didn't think we were worth his time. Mikio already knew that if he ended up fighting Joe, he could do this exact thing that, Joe can't handle him in his mind. But what really gave Joe the edge this fight is that Joe is very bold and unpredictable. He dropped his guard. I don't know what made him think that would be the wisest route. And then there was a conflict between the AI and Mikio. I love this. One, it finally explains that scene where we were looking at the different percentages in the last episode, where Mikio was trying to get his synchronization rate up. I didn't understand what that meant before, but obviously we know what it means now. But ultimately, he can't reach 100% synchronization. This could be for a couple of reasons. One, maybe it's just not humanly possible. We saw that while he was training, he put something in his neck, nano machines or whatever it is, medicine-wise, I don't know. But that increased the synchronization rate, but he couldn't do it. What I'm assuming is he couldn't truly give full control to the AI. Like, if I let somebody control my arms, like, I could let them move it, but there's no way they can have full control of my body. And he just couldn't give it. He got to about, we'll say 90%. What was shocking in the fight is he almost got up there though. He passed 90. I believe he'll never hit 100. But, hey, that was actually pretty cool. Another thing is what I love about this episode, the highlight of the conflict between Mikio. To talk about Mikio a little bit more, we see that through this episode, I think he actually grew up as a character a little bit. Maybe. Because, we found out his relationship with Yuri, that basically him and Yuri don't see eye to eye. Because, Yuri is like, hey, real boxers actually box. They don't give their control to some AI. Another thing to highlight between the interaction between Mikio and Yuri is that Mikio actually said, you're just a wild animal that cozied up to Shirado. This could mean a couple of things. One, my theory about Yuri actually being a stray himself, meaning he's from the slums or maybe he was poor, similar to Junk Dog Joe, is that it could be true. I believe Yukiko picked him up out of whatever situation he was in, made him her fighter. Maybe she just knew him as a boxer, maybe even an underground boxer for all we know. That'd be pretty cool. And that he cozied up to Shirada, he got friends with them, and his life changed. Another thing is Mikio questioned, is he more loyal to Yukiko over him? Maybe Yuri was on the project before or had something to do or helped train the AI. I don't believe this one, but they did have some form of friendship or relationship in the sense that they knew each other, they were cool, but Yuri decided to take Yukiko's route, being with her being the Shirada's president, and yeah, he just didn't like that. It never sat well with him. And Yuri called him out and said, hey, real fighters fight without AI. They have control of their bodies. To comment on one more thing about Yuri, when he has his interaction with Joe after he won, he did say, I don't battle stray dogs. Don't know what that means. But one very interesting thing that he mentioned was, he said, a wild animal that won't let go once it sinks its teeth into you. Now, earlier we mentioned that Mikio called Yuri a wild animal that cozied up to Shirada. Do you think that Yuri was referring to himself or Joe? Now, the reason I initially thought it was Joe is because in the last episode, he told Mikio a stray dog will not let go. He said the same phrase, that a stray dog, once it sinks its teeth into you, will not let go. Now he says a wild animal that won't let go once it sinks its teeth into you. Is this Yuri sinking his teeth into Joe saying, all right, I'm not going to let you go. We're going to get this battle. We're going to get to it. Or is it saying that Joe is this wild animal that won't let go of Yuri? I don't know. We both see them as dogs in the series, especially after he's been referred to as animal. Joe's been referred to dog. We got the dog that follows Yuri, and that Yuri is the loyal dog of the Shirato Corporation. What do you all think on that? Because that phrase that really stood out to me, and I'm like, is he referring to himself? Back on Mikio, we know that with Mikio, ultimately he couldn't synchronize 100% with the Ace gear or Ace AI, right? He would have had to fully let go of control, and also if it is actually human possible to do that. I like that we initially were thinking it was a pure human, no gear, no machinery versus AI. I think this fight for Mikio honestly was just the internal conflict. Like, he couldn't synchronize with the AI and fully let go of control, right? And Joe's unprecedented methods, I'll say that, actually gave him the advantage. Like, the AI wasn't functioning right. That kind of got to Mikio's psyche. And Mikio had to decide between trusting the AI and seeing if he can handle it, or handling it himself. I honestly believe if Mikio let go of control of the AI, or if he took over, he would have easily won. I believe the engineers mentioned turn it off auto and let him handle it. But he trusted Ace too much. Ace is the ultimate. Ace is his invention. He wasn't going to let that go. But that's ultimately the reason he lost. I think that last right hook, Joe would have potentially been able to counter. But at the same time, I think maybe that right hook would have went through. When Mikio let that left hook go, Joe reacted and then he did the punch and they both hit each other. I believe Ace held Mikio's punch back because he wanted it to be a right hook. He made a left. While Joe just went, fully with his heart. Like, my body reacted, I went with it, I got an uppercut. That's why even though Joe was hit, the hit was not significantly impactful. Meaning that Joe wins. I like that conflict between them. The last important thing we have to talk about by far is the Mafia guy. I looked up his name and I believe that it's Fujiamaki. Fujiamaki is the Mafia boss that gave us the fake ID, that helped us find the information about Mikio stooping around, sending that person for information. And I honestly believe Fujiamaki is going to cause a lot of issues for Joe, Nanbu, and Sachio. Specifically Nanbu. So he told Nanbu at the end of the episode, this is the end of the road, right? And Nanbu's like, I didn't let the boy or Joe know yet. And I believe that it could be a couple of things. But the most realistic one is that Fujiamaki is about to make a lot of money by causing Joe to throw the fight in Megalonia. I found it kind of interesting that the gamble that they threw, that Fujiamaki only wanted them to make it to Megalonia. He didn't say win Megalonia so you can pay me back like that was Nanbu's plan. He just wanted them to get in the top 4 spot. So here's the reason why. Fujiamaki is going to either threaten Nanbu or force all 3 of them somehow to say, hey, I want you to get in that final fight, or honestly just be 4th place versus 3rd place. Look like you're winning and throw the match. And if they do that, especially with everybody in the slums betting money and backing Joe, he will make a killing. He'll make even more than what Nanbu could possibly make back. Or, he'll make a lot of money. So it's time for him to call in his debts and make sure that Joe loses, Nanbu forces him to throw, or maybe even threaten Sachio to do that. That's the most likely outcome that he's trying to go for. Now he's trying to call in his debts. That was phase 1 of Fujiamaki's plan. If they wouldn't have made it to Megalonia, Nanbu would have lost an eye, or all 3 of them would have lost their life for that gamble. Another thing I was thinking of is maybe he just was like, okay, you did your job. He still does that same route, and he takes Nanbu away. He's like, Nanbu, you can no longer be a part of this, and he lets Joe and Sachio do their thing. That may be a route. I don't really know. Let me know what you think. Another thing is, I think we only have 4 more episodes left in this series, if I'm not mistaken. One, I still want to know the background of Yuri, which I'm pretty sure we'll get in a fight between Joe and Yuri. But I want to know the background of Sachio. That hasn't been explained. Will Sachio's parents, if they do show up at the end, if we get a good ending? Will Sachio's parents, show up and help us through this situation with Fujiamaki and Nanbu? Or will it just want to be one of those things that aren't explained? I'm still curious about that and where they'll play a role. Another thing is, in Megalonia, do you think they're going to force Joe to get a gear? I know Yukiko, President Shirata, was probably just talking mess, but she initially said to Nanbu, only those that wear gear can make it into Megalonia. Well, Joe's in Megalonia. This is a stretch, and I don't think this will happen, but it'd be interesting. But wouldn't it be funny if she actually gave the ultimate gear to Joe? Like, I don't know, or gave him some type of gear to show off Shirata, and that maybe hinders him? I don't know. I think he can reject it, but I don't know. That was one thing I thought about only because she said that quote. I think she was just being petty, honestly, but we'll see.